Just remember, fruits of the Spirit are joy, peace, long suffering, happiness. You got to get the negative emotions out of you, like the envy, hatred, jealousy, things like that nature that would cause your own heart, because you're inside your vessel. I always tell people, the kingdom of God is within you, and your own wickedness turns you into hell or perdition. What variable are you living in? What kingdom are you walking in? So I remember when the Lord always reprimanded me, like, don't let them make you angry, because like it says, like, don't let the sun go down and be angry. Because what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that emotion or feeling? You're bottling it up. Other people that make you upset didn't think twice about provoking that emotion. That's why I talk about emotional and mental witchcraft a lot. Rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. So if someone's rebellious in their nature, causing this strife or division in your life, or their tongue becomes crafty, as the Lord talks of, is the tongue of the crafty, meaning rebellion, mostly gossiping, slandering, busybodying, causing strife. Remember, an evil person's not happy unless they're causing division. I'm not necessarily saying they're intentionally being evil, but if they're in the kingdom of darkness, they operate in that out of that kingdom. Like one mind with Satan. The Bible refers to this. Until you come to the cross, you have that carnal mind. You have that Roman mind. When I was lost, like that song says, I once was lost, but now I am found. I once was blind, but now I see. See, you see things differently at this cross. You're able to discern or observe, because I've examined and judged myself. So once you intercede for yourself and overcome and conquer, take them motes out, you'll be able to see or observe those demeanors in other people's lives, not to condemn them, but this is your sound mind the Lord gives you when He removes your stony heart. When you remove that hardening of the heart, that emotional turmoil that quickened you to not see other things that you should have seen before. You missed it. Now you're seeing for the first time the things that you once walked in, the ways you did. So this is like they say, your enemies become your footstool, or you can't drink the cup of devils, drink the cup of the Lord. When I once walked in the course of this world, but now I've been directed into His glorious light. I was once in the dark too. I look back at my life, because I redirected my life. Hindsight's always 2020. I look back and think, wow, I didn't know I was doing those things until I was alleviated from them. Just like most people, when they're under their delusions, they don't know they are. Just like when I've done deliverance on people, they didn't know they were infiltrated with uh, uh, demons inside their vessel. They hide. They don't tell you, here I am. If you're in rebellion, you have one. You're feeding it. Or if you have trauma, that's the gateway for the enemy. That's where you're wounded and you're taking it out on everybody else. You're an unhealed person. You don't know how to carry a cross. You don't know how to be the overcomer. You don't know how. Some children are born into these rebellious families. They're cursed the moment they enter the world. That's why I speak of generational curses, ancestral curses, more cultural and worldly, because people can lie under them. An unwanted pregnancy has an orphan spirit, where there's no bond ever been completed or fulfilled because the child came in a wrong point in their life. I'm not saying they intended it. A lot of it's not purposeful. We don't just. That's why they talk about passing the seed through the fire. Your seed is your family member. That's not anything the Lord would require of you. To, hey, I give you life, now go be toxic and dysfunctional and destroy your life. Don't live in your own disorder and chaos. That's not anything the Lord would tell anybody He gives life to. But some people are born in under these curses. And that's why it says we bind and loose to the 10 generations back. It says you'll bear the sins of up to 4 generations. Why? Because you're picking up their characteristic traits or flaws, their demeanors, their lifestyles, their attributes, whatever it is. You don't factor in if it's unhealthy or healthy, because it's a part of who you are. It's your identity. It's your identity. It's your delusion you're under. See, until you come to the cross, you don't understand what even delusions mean. You don't understand how real that Bible becomes, how much truth it bears. Because, and that's why I tell people, I'd be more than happy to teach anybody about this cross and the defiance, the rebellion, or the ungodly soul ties or evil altars that people could be under. Because when you come to it, you realize that people are under these. They're not bad people. They're just succumbing to their carnal minds, or their curses that they lie under. Remember, there's no curse that the Lord can't break off. I've done deliverance on people, and people say, "Oh, my family's cursed." No, you've seen cursed living. But that your first step was to acknowledge there's a curse in existence. That's where you can start the healing process. That's where you can start overcoming. Your sin has to be acknowledged. You acknowledge that curse or sin. So now you could start having victory over it. That's the first step to victory, is seeing it, speaking those truths, knowing those truths or untruths. There's everything in the dark will be brought to light. There's nothing new under the sun. You just decided to see. You felt the misery. Like it says, your own stumbling or sin should reprove or rebuke you. You felt that rebuction. You felt that reprobation. You felt the deprivation, the derogatory nature. You knew there was something in suffering. You knew that something wasn't correct in your life or the lives that you've seen, just like I did. I knew. And like whenever I would go into error, I knew the Lord would always bring me back to Him. That's when we cry out to Him. We feel something is wrong. But some people don't stay on that course of correction. They'll start going, it says you'll hear the word of God and it'll fall on thorny grounds. That means cares of this world. You'll go back into the world and start doing the same things until something bad happens again, and then you start crying out to God, why are you doing this to me? Not realizing that sometimes it's your own actions. It's your own, you don't know how to intercede for yourself. You don't know how to fight the enemy. Sometimes the enemy that you're fighting is within you. You're at war with yourself. That's why I tell people, most people are at war with themselves, and they bring that war to you when you have relations with them. That's why I said I would never ever date again. That's one thing I denied myself when I came to this cross. I promised the Lord when He healed me I would never date again. That's what I choose. There's nothing wrong with me. Walking alone has power that very few can handle in this world. To be rejected by man is to be proved by God. Elijah walked alone. Most of the prophets and disciples walked alone. I mean, they corresponded and had friends and relationships and would edify and redirect, but they didn't base their identity on other people's opinions. They knew that it wasn't necessary. And if my walk here isn't hurting anybody else or myself, it's not shouldn't be worrisome for other people's lives. That's being a busybody. That means you're using or expending your energy worrying about what somebody else is doing when you could be using that energy to examine and judge yourself and redirect your own life. And that's what I always say. Unless I'm speaking life into a situation, I'm not speaking. That's something I've learned. Like sometimes conversation is an open doorway for the demonic, because if you're speaking to someone who's immature in their spiritual growth or in the state of rebellion or using profanity or talking perverse or gossiping about others, that's a doorway for you to be in a demonic network, because that's what that is. That's a demonic or demonized conversation, because it's coming out of the kingdom of darkness. You are coveting, you're slandering, you're gossiping, you're belittling, you're degrading, you're demeaning, you're depleting someone, you're emotionally and mentally witchcrafting somebody. Like your grandma said, it's a carnal mind if you don't understand spiritual things. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. You can't expect this generation to walk in greatness, or you can't tell your child, hey, have victory in life. Go be this great person in life when you're representing everything it's not. A child becomes what's poured into them. A generation comes what's poured into them. I just feel so sorry for this generation. The days are evil. What they have to be at war with, these little adolescents who have no guidance, no parental guidance, or don't know what's right or wrong, or they're just being tossed to and fro, or because they become what they see. Look what they're seeing. Look at all this is Samaria. This is Ahab's and Jezebel's everywhere. So who is going to intercede for these children? Who's going to show them the right way to go? Train a child the way he should go, and he'll never fall away from it. They've already started at a falling away state of an existence. A very dark state. Where they're going to adhere because they're growing into, or they're grooming into, adhering to an environment that's very fallen. You don't fall from your own wickedness turns you into hell or perdition. You're in your perditional state. The heavenlies are here. Which kingdom are you walking in? Which kingdom do you represent? God's not going to use someone. I call this a spirit of mockery, where they were mocking the redemptive work of Christ. The Lord's not going to use an ungodly person to say, wait a minute, you need help, when you've been sanctified for 7 years. He's not going to say, well, they're not, there's nothing wrong with being holy. And no one in sin can correct you out of sin. They haven't been able to do it for themselves. Take not counsel from the wicked. Don't let an ungodly person give you direction in your life.